I literally just saw the flyer when I was at Guitar Center getting strings. Somehow ended up winning first place. It's still so surreal to me.
People don't realize how quick life could change.
This is Tyler Accord, aka Lophiile, the producer behind records for her and BTS. If you ever wondered how guys like him come about, you're about to find out how it might happen to you too.
Once you write your part, you double the speed and throw it up an octave. Okay. And then you bounce that fast octave up to audio, and then you stretch that audio back down, and you can't deny that, like, that's magic. Successful artists, they don't give a what people think.
Hey, real quick, just had a huge favor that I wanted to ask you, and that is, could you please subscribe to the channel? It would mean so much to the growth of this podcast, as well as ensure that we're able to do more and more cool things on this channel on a weekly basis. So once again, it would mean so much. It would be a huge favor to us, and it would help us so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Okay, now, back to your episode. When I close my laptop with Pro Tools open, boy, it's a tough day. Like, I be scared to death to open up.
Hey,
like,
man,
this shit gonna go crazy.
I cannot relate, man. What you call it? For all the shit we talk about UAD,
that's
man,
how you know
this Apollo sound good, bro.
What happened?
For all the shit we talk about UAD, man, this Apollo sound good, man.
Yeah, we're recording through it right now. Can I be honest with you? I like it on the podcast side. Like, I'm super cool with it, like, so far.
So our quality just doesn't matter.
What quality doesn't matter?
Our quality.
What do you mean
That's
our
what
quality?
you're saying?
Who's our?
If you wouldn't trust it on your vocals, why would you trust it on my vocals? I.e. this podcast.
I trust it.
I think
he
would. I just don't think it's his thing.
I like my interface I have now. I'm not saying it's a bad interface. You know what? You're gonna stop setting me up to fail, because on that other episode,
is it not a bad interface?
It's what a bad interface. No, it's not a bad interface. Not at all. Not at all.
I'm happy you finally said it, man.
But I think within the price range of what it's competing against, I think there's better. I think there's better, and I think there's other interfaces that I would pick over it for sure. If I was like at that price range, I was like, you know what?
They're doing something right now. They're trying. They get it up there.
But it's a good interface. Not bad.
Speaking of doing something, let's get to doing this, man.
Well,
please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and become a member, because members got this episode like 2 weeks early.
They've been saw it.
Crazy. They've been saw it. Other perks in the channel: free money in the store, a disc, so we can identify you as one of our really day zeros.
And also remember, one lucky commenter will win that Rosetta EQ or compressor.
In gold.
You just got to make sure you leave your name. Leave your name in the comment section.
Leave your name so we can ask you your @name for Instagram, because then guess what? When you leave a comment on YouTube, I don't think we DM each other on YouTube.
And if you ever tried to message me on YouTube, you've been blocked. No. My name is LJ. I'm an FL user. To the across of me.
Wow, this is weird. You know, we usually don't sit across from each other. It's kind of awkward for me. But
it's like therapy.
It's your boy Devvon Terrell, Pro Tools user. To the right of me,
man, it's 12. It's Courtney T.
Jesus Christ,
you already know.
Fucking fed.
It's gonna be great.
And whenever we're in this room, man, you know what it is. We have a special guest, right?
Indeed.
And this guest has one of the funniest stories of how he got on this pod. Before we even get to that, he's one of the most, I think, I always call him one of my heroes as far as sound design, as far as his production, the remixes he's made. He's just an all-around creative. I feel like he's played every role in the studio and has been credited well for them. And he's one of the underdogs, I think, as far as the mainstream goes. Like, he's really one of those guys. My guy Lophiile is in the building.
Lophiile.
Lophiile.
Yeah.
Let me say it correct.
That's all good.
Lophiile.
How have you been, brother, man?
Yeah, great, man. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. This is exciting for me.
Absolutely.
This was a long time coming.
I know.
Let me tell the story.
Okay. I was like, you've been talking about you for years. Like,
story time.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Because he was very instrumental into me falling in love with R&B. But I mean that, bro.
Yeah, he does. He's dead.
It's going to be great. For sure.
Yeah, so on one of our podcast episodes, we talked about some of our favorite songs and patches. And I always said, I said a nasty story. I admitted something. Right? I took myself to homie court.
Okay.
I said, there's a patch from Her Avenue by Her.
One of my favorite songs from her, by the way.
One of my favorites too. The synth patch, right? It was one of those patches I looked for years in every plugin I've ever gotten. Right. He did a breakdown on YouTube, breaking down the record, and he said, no, this came from a one shot. I added some bells and whistles.
Right.
I couldn't find the one shot. I looked at the name of the one shot. I Googled it. I went through Splice.
He called
couldn't
me.
find it.
He was like, bro, he doesn't even know. He just gave it up, bro.
Bro, for real. Like, he don't know what he did. But couldn't find the patch anywhere. So I YouTube to MP3'd his video.
That's so dope.
How hard someone went for you, like, casually. Yeah.
I
mean,
took the
it's the
3
biggest-
seconds of it and I just looped it and made it work. I think.
I mean, there's no bigger compliment you can give me. I mean, I was so stoked when I saw that. Like, I was just like, and that's the type of shit I'd be doing too.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like a clever
Right.
way. I mean, I was so flattered. So thank you.
That's what's
Bro,
up. That's
it
what's
threw
up.
me off when he saw it. First, I was like, "Oh shit, is he mad?
Is he mad? Right. I remember you. I remember you told me he caught him, but then he
Fucking, he sent it.
He sent
And I
it
was
to him,
like,
yo.
Yeah, for sure.
That's love.
But ever since then, it's been a conversation of getting him on the pod.
Right.
When we were in LA, and we happened to be in the great city of Los Angeles, where both a week after, I hate to date it, a week after both of our New York teams just lost to this fucking
That's a fact.
Dodgers.
Yes,
This shit kinda hurts.
I ain't gonna lie. You know, I told him, I said, LA has New York's number.
Yeah.
You know, for 2024, they have like our
shit,
number.
But yeah.
One thing I want to ask you is, you know, one thing we always ask everyone when they first come on the pod is, what was your DAW journey, right? So, like, what did you start in production wise, or just music wise, and then where did you land now?
Yeah. So how I got into music and production, pretty much in general, was, I mean, I was already interested. Kind of played drums a little bit. My dad brought me it was Sonic Foundry Acid.
Right.
He brought
Oh,
me
wow.
Acid. That was the first one.
Right.
And it was this promo copy that was $30 with a $30 rebate. So it was free if you threw, put the rebate in. My dad,
Right.
you know, he's cheap. So he was like, this is fire.
You throw that rebate.
Yeah, so he was like, sure, I can get you this free program. And that's when I fell in love with it. And then did that for years. And I can't remember, I think I started working at Guitar Center, and somebody at Guitar Center was like, man, you got to use Reason. Reason's like the one.
Right.
So then I switched to that. And then I was only on that for a second because I was like, oh, you can't even record audio. You needed like this expansion back then.
Right.
So it was Reason for just a little bit. And then that's when I was like getting really serious about production and like kind of got into electronic music, and I saw everybody was using Cubase, like Noisia, using Cubase. And that was like my first this is my big boy DAW, and like I was looking at, I just couldn't believe like the console, and I was like, oh dude, I'm serious now.
Right.
And I used Cubase for, I want to say like 7 years.
Wow.
That's where I like cut my teeth, and like, you know, I did like the first Issues albums at Cubase, the band I used to be in, and and then I was working with more and more people that were using Ableton, and it's like I always tell people like, use the DAW that you can make the best music in. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever, you know, connects with you. But when I saw like the workflow in Ableton, it was a wrap after that. I want to say that was 2016 or 15.
Got you. And then you were just fully just into Ableton, and that was it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I'm stuck in it now. You know, it's not perfect. I still got my beefs with it, but it's for the way my brain works and the way I like to make music. Ableton's the one.
What feature would you say in Ableton, like when you were like, you know, still on Reason, if I'm not mistaken, like what did you see that made you go, huh? Like that intrigued you?
Yeah, so I was really like getting into sound design, and the problem with Cubase was all the things I had to set up every time I wanted to use a sound. And you could save channels, but it didn't work. Like it wouldn't remember. It would just be the initial patch of the...
Not really effect change. Yeah, that's how it is in FL still, I think.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
I agree, yeah.
I saw somebody do this whole thing with multiple audio effects racks and chains and different things.
Right.
And then... and put it to the side, and then that was his sound. And I saw that, I was like, that was it.
Wow.
Because I can go in for hours on a sound multiple times, like throughout, and then it's all right there.
Right.
How did you
On
find
one
that
track.
love in sound design? Because even like, I'll be really honest with you, I know what I want certain shit to sound like, but I don't super understand. So I'll dial in to an extent, but not as much as I've seen you, and you turn that sample, you turn it into some beautiful shit.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it really started because I was really interested in synthesis. Like the first time I started making like electronic music, you know, it's kind of like I was still, hip hop was where I started. You know, I was sampling literal vinyl records with a turntable into to Acid, and I just wanted to be like Stoop or you know, I wanted to be like the biggest boom bap producer. But then somewhere I got into electronic music, drum and bass, and dubstep and stuff, and somebody this guy Billy that I worked with, he showed me like Massive and like how synthesis works, and I was just like absolutely enamored by it. And I would say it just snowballed. You know, it was like first I wanted to do like the crazy Reese basses or whatever, and then it was something. As kind of SoundCloud kind of got bigger, like more people were on it, it was like the future bass and beat stuff where the melodic sound design started to really like happen, and that was really interesting to me. And that's when I got into like oh, you can actually do some really freaky stuff with synthesis and like play like a seventh chord and it's like fire, you know what I mean?
Type shit like that.
So and then it just snowballed, and I just got more and more curious, and people were really, really inspiring on the way.
Right. What would you say, like, as far as like plugins right now? And I'll give you, say for instance, like your top 2 plugins when it comes to synthesis and sound design, like for you to manipulate things. What would you say is your top 2 plugins right now?
Top 2 plugins, I would say the first, let's see, for sound design, I would say that I still feel the most comfortable and the best sounding in Serum. Like I love designing stuff from scratch in Serum. There's stuff I miss about about Massive, but Serum sounds better, so I try to just do it in Serum. Right. And I would say that that's probably my favorite synthesis. And then, man, my sound design sauce, like what I lean on is M vibrato from Melda, bro. I use that on everything, not just full sounds, but maybe just the reverb trail, just the delay trail. Like for whatever reason, you could take any sound that's like straight and like perfectly like tuned or whatever, and as soon as you start to put a little movement on it, it starts to give it this life. And I lean on M vibrato, and now I'm like drawing my own waveforms in it, so it vibratos in like a weird way, and like it's just because I think like we're just so used to growing up, it's like you listen to instruments, like a guitar is not perfect, like a piano's not perfect, and when you get synthesis, you're in this thing of perfection, and if you want that, that's cool, but a lot of times if you want it to breathe, you need to like add that imperfection to it. And you know, most of the time I start by using vibrato, and then vibrato is my favorite one.
Gotcha. So you'll literally create, for instance, a sound and stuff like that, like obviously, and I know what you mean by synthesis feeling like perfect, because it's so absolute, right? It's like sine wave, here's the numbers. So you kind of use in vibrato to kind of like humanize, like kind of like to give it a little bit of a human feel and stuff like that.
Exactly that.
Melda.
Yeah, and a lot of people will use like tape stuff like RC20 or J37s or whatever, and those are cool too. But they definitely have a sound, and you know, just the sound of like the fake tape on the piano, like I'm just sick of it. It's like it's like lo-fi beats to study to. Right. So with the M vibrato, I just have so much more flexibility to like do different waves and rates and things. So it's still like the tape vibe, but it's just like a little bit more random and a little bit more like human.
That randomness is so. It's something like my favorite plugin right now is a free plugin. It's Magic Dice by
Baby Audio.
Baby Audio. And it's literally just a dice. Like you can't recall anything. It's literally you just keep clicking the dice, and it's a bunch of reverb and delay algorithms, and it just does some weird octave. Like it just.
But I will say this about that plugin though, right? Because sometimes you so it literally as soon as you hit it, it just rolls, and it's like I don't know what the heck is happening. It's like just some cool thing. My thing is though, sometimes I'm like, what is that? I want to keep it.
So I figured out I could save the channel state NFL, so I've been doing that. My favorite ones.
Oh, crazy!
And it
like
keeps
almost
that
snapshotting it in a sense. But
I
can recall it kind of.
I wish they would let me just preset it, like you know what I mean, just save it.
Going back to Massive, like I remember this, not the shift because they both existed, but when Massive X came out and when it got announced first, so we just like, oh shit, finally an update. And I feel like it just went damn near to deaf ears in a sense.
It came and went.
How was that? Like, I wasn't super into synthesis around that time, but I mean, shit.
I feel like, so Native Instruments is like one of the biggest companies, and I feel like a lot of times they are worried about, not worried, but they focus on like an audience. And I feel like Massive X, at least for my first initial thoughts, it felt like it was like a different audience. It just didn't feel like as like, because Massive is just like all the controls are right there. Massive X had this like UI and everything. I felt like the Serum and the Massive, it just felt like more like nerdy, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I felt like Massive X and just like their products in general, sometimes they tailor more to like people that don't want to get in the weeds as much. And I feel like maybe that's why it didn't really catch on, because the people that love mastering are the people that love to like get in on it.
Yeah.
So that's just my like super ignorant like hypothesis, but I'm not sure.
I agree with you, man, because I feel like there's this conversation that we haven't had about NI lately. One thing that kind of tickles me a bit is I feel like they've gotten into this groove of really simplifying things. Okay. And for somebody like me who just like sometimes in a session I don't even want to think, I just want to find the sounds.
Right.
It might be a thing, but I remember the era of like you could find 1 million massive packs online for free. Yeah. And lately I feel like they've been, I don't want to say relying too much, but it feels like they found this new algorithm, right?
Yeah.
I think it started with the Play series where I think in my head they import like maybe 10 different one shots and then they just randomize this new preset, randomize this one. Like think about it like this.
Okay.
I hope I don't burn bridges, but hey man, bridges are meant to be burnt.
They're not. They're not. They're not.
They're meant to be.
Let's not. Children, all the kids watching this, they're meant to be crossed over and continue. Continue.
Right.
You know.
But the Noah's 40s keys.
Yeah.
That piano sound shows up 12 times just with different.
Wow. Yo, you're not lying.
reverb.
That's a fact.
Like I feel like they're just they import, and that's a lot of the Play series. I feel like they just import a few different, like, all right, let's do 2 pianos, 2 basses.
Oh, just take from the already there.
And then there's this random button that you can use if you want. I feel like they just use that to get a bunch of presets. Yeah. And it felt like I was chilling on it for a few of them because some of them were free. I was like, maybe they're just putting something out just to put it out.
Right.
But when every synth I kept buying from NI was the same. That's why I didn't upgrade this year. This is the first time I didn't upgrade to a new complete.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I mean, not even to talk shit on them because I wouldn't be anywhere where I'm at without NI. I mean, they were
absolutely.
the complete was like the first thing I invested in and like took me from here to here and stuff. But I just do feel like, you know, if they want to tap into more professional market, I feel like it'd be beneficial to maybe just get a little bit more tapped in with people that are doing it in a real way. Because, for example, Serum and X for Records is by this guy Steve Duda, and he is so intertwined with like the scene. Like I remember because I at one point I was like signed to Zed's imprint, so I was like at a lot of like EDM functions, and he was always there, and you know, always down to like talk about dirty shit. Like people are jumping in the pool. I'm in the pool with Steve Duda. I'm like, hey, so are you gonna introduce any more like wave tables? And he's like, yeah. So first of all, and what do you think would be cool about? Like he's so tapped in.
That's dope.
And I feel like that's what really like gets these products to connect. It's like how much you listen to the user.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
bro. Especially because I look at parts of NI and I feel like, bro, if we just honed in a little more, and I get, you know, bottom lines, and I don't know if it's public, but I know they just bought a bunch of those companies and made that big merger. Right. But something like Reactor, I feel like there's so much potential with what they can do with Reactor.
I never even, can I be honest with you? I'm such a contact guy, but I've never used Reactor.
Try it.
I've never even opened it before.
Try it.
I've never even opened it.
I know there's one bass patch that
I would die for, that I would be like stuck on.
Even like Massive, I feel like just upgrade the UI, maybe add like there's some shit you can add, make Massive 2 that isn't Massive X, you know, stuff like that. But Tractor, I know a bunch of people for years are like, bro, y'all just neglected Tractor for 5 years.
Tractor's a legend. Like, that was a legendary thing.
Like,
yeah,
shit like that. So they have so many moving parts. I'm sure it's almost like Apple where, all right, if we're gonna keep doing the iPhones, I get it.
Right.
Yeah, I keep saying it's the same shit. But
right.
Maybe the iMac will have to wait a little or some shit like
that.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say is like your favorite instrument in Complete? This episode is supported by Colossal, and today we're excited to tell you about Drops, their brand new product for producers and beat makers. When selling beats and collaborating with artists online, us producers are jumping around to different apps. File sharing, emails, DMs, and payments, and it can get really overwhelming to stay on top of it all. This is where Drops by Colossal comes in. It brings together all the essential tools and simplifies the whole beat buying and selling experience. Creating a drop is super fast. Just upload your beat to Colossal and you get a unique drop link that you can share with artists in DMs on your socials. Drop is one of the best experiences that you as a producer can give to an artist that you work with. It looks amazing. An artist can buy a license in seconds. And when you sell a beat, you instantly get paid to your PayPal account. Drops is free to use with no subscription fees and available right now. Sign up at colossal.fm/producers to get started.
And Complete, favorite instrument? I'd probably say the one I use the most in Complete is nowadays is Contact, just because there's so much dope like organic sounds in there.
Absolutely.
Right. I still love the factory library strings.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Obviously, by itself, it's not like great all the time.
Sure.
I'll use like a actual scoring library like ADO or whatever, but also opens up in Contact. Yeah, I would say Contact is probably
Got
the
you.
main.
So you say you use an actual scoring library for like some of your like more, you know, kind of like cinematic stuff and stuff like that?
Exactly. Yeah, even like just little string sections and parts. Like 8DO I've been leaning on a lot for like just the, you know, just like the nice little slidey violins and stuff.
Have you ever heard of it before? ADO?
I've seen a few producers use it, like Loner and stuff like that. Yeah,
I've actually never heard it. That's what I was interested in about
It's a Spitfire kind of competitor.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So it's like you got East West, Spitfire, 8DO. The only reason I use 8DO is because I won this like remix contest, and one of the prizes was like all their stuff.
All their entire
Wow.
their
Gotcha.
entire library. So and
ADO.
and it's, you know, better than anything I had ever owned. So I've just been using it.
Using
ever
it like
since.
crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because we're such Spitfire kids over here. Yeah. We use
It's
Spitfire kids,
amazing.
but
Spitfire's amazing.
It's
you know?
insane. It's super expensive.
And it's
Exactly.
super heavy on your
It
computer.
whoops my computers behind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I do want to go back. You did mention you were signed to Zed. That's something I didn't know. How did that come along, and like how was that time? 'Cause
Yeah. For sure. Basically, well, like the short story is I was in this band before, and that was like kind of the first thing I did that ever went anywhere in the music industry. And then I left to kind of pursue production full time. And one of the first things that happened after I left the band is Zed had a remix contest. It was through Guitar Center. It was for like Beautiful Now or something. I want you to know. And yeah, I literally just saw the flyer when I was at Guitar Center getting strings or whatever, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And somehow ended up winning first place. Like it's still
crazy.
weird to talk about because it's still so surreal to me. Like none of this shit is regular ever to me. Like, it's like I cannot believe it. But basically what happened is I beat out all these people and I won this contest. And so I started working with his manager, and then his manager Dave, and then him and Zed and Dave ended up having this imprint in UMPG, and they ended up signing me and Gray to it.
That's crazy, dog. That is a wild thing.
Yeah, I mean, completely kickstarted my production career.
Sure.
All off of hey, might as well try this. I don't know.
At a Guitar Center, a sign at Guitar Center. That's crazy. I think it's important to highlight because I think sometimes I think that people don't realize how quick life can change. You know, where it's like we've had a remix thing too. Yeah, ironically, that was really, you know, like integral as far as like progression and stuff like that. So for you, right, like as far as opportunity and being in that, like going from like, hey, I just went to Guitar Center to go get some strings and like, you know, like kind of got signed to Zed. Like literally that's kind of like the fast forward of it, right? So in the back of my mind, as far as that transition, what was that work like for you? Like as far as like being in sessions and just what was that workflow like being signed to them?
I mean, it was definitely like it was definitely a lot of growing pains because I had to learn that world.
Right.
But basically, I mean, Dave, you know, his managers, we were the ones that were more working closely, and he was like kind of just setting me up with people that he knew, writers, other producers,
right,
to make stuff for like my artist project. You know, I was putting out my own records featuring artists, and I was just kind of, you know, in writing sessions, and at the same time starting to get my first placements, and it was cool, but there was just a lot of learning. I mean, making music by yourself and then getting into like a big studio and these like professionals are showing up and wanting you to like deliver, like it's a lot of pressure. So
for sure,
it was definitely like a learning thing. But yeah, just it was like sessions like from the jump.
I want to tell you a story.
Okay,
right? So another story. So I'm introduced to your work initially with the Her record, but you know I'm not checking the credits as I should. Whatever, cool. Or maybe I just didn't remember. But how I was introduced to your name and remembering your name was I had the privilege of being in LA actually, doing a camp with Darkchild with Rodney Jerkins.
Oh,
sick.
sick.
Fucking one of the greatest moments of my life.
But
amazing. Where he's downstairs and he has a playlist of a bunch of his songs playing, right? A bunch of his placements,
right?
And he's talking to us, right? Round table. The songs are still playing. Then I hear a song and I'm like, this shit bangs. What song is this? But it's one of those where I was just like, I can't pull out my phone. But if I don't Shazam this song, I may never hear it again.
I hear
Never
you.
hear it again.
Yo, that
Exactly.
moment, that's
Kid
so
you not.
true. I'd be like, I'll never hear this song again if I don't Shazam
It's
it.
like,
Yeah.
fuck. So I'm literally like,
Do or die.
No, literally.
and I got
just gotta go
I got
for
it on my control center, so I just hit the
Yeah,
button.
Yes.
Call it a
Oh
day.
my God. Best feature.
That's
ever.
one of the clutchest things ever.
Yeah.
So, and then I look at it, and it's not one of his songs. It's you featuring Coltrane and Amber Mark.
No buzz.
I love that. I added it to my playlist. I love that record. And when I finally made the connection to you to her record, and then to you to a bunch of like Alina Baraz and shit like that, I'm like, bro, what the hell
is
this
going
guy?
on?
Yeah.
Right.
So how is that? Because I'm sure a lot of producers are listening would love to take helms and be the artist and kind of have that control over it. How was that world for you?
Yeah, so creatively, that was also always like such a fun world. It was awesome. It's because it's like anytime I made something that like kind of didn't fit anywhere for another artist or artists weren't really messing with it, but it really connected with myself. It was like, okay, this feels like this could be something for me. And I've grow up like so inspired by records like that, like the old like Mark Ronson records. Like he had like all these hip hop joints, with like Nate Dogg and shit, and
Yes, sir.
yeah. And I just always thought producer albums were sick, and it was a lot to do with Dave, my former manager, who like helped me really like flourish in that world. I think what got challenging for me is all the other aspects of being an artist, like how much time you have to invest in like the promotion of yourself. I mean, I'm sure you guys hear this all the time on the pod, and like people don't like doing TikToks or whatever. And to me, that was the hardest part. And like and a lot of it was the confidence. It took me a long time to feel confident in myself.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? So it's like I've noticed like successful artists, they don't give a fuck what people think. Like, and even if it's a facade, like they are gun ho for themselves. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to be the engine, and you've got to have like the fire to like push that train forward.
Right.
And I noticed that like after a while, it kind of wasn't really like in me. It wasn't like I didn't like go to sleep and think like one day I'll be playing like Madison Square Garden. All I could think about is like I want to make the sickest beat, and like
I just want to make music.
Yeah, I want to make music, and I want to and I want to get big placements and go back to like hanging out with my dogs. Like I was, you know what I mean? So I think that's where the disconnect started to form. But creatively, it was amazing. And I've got a twin brother that does music too, and he's more of the artist. Like I talk to him, and all he wants in this life is to like be his own artist. And it's great for me because I help him produce stuff and I can live vicariously through him. But it's just it's interesting to see like that like personality and be like, cool, it's not really me.
Right kind of thing.
That record specifically, I want to kind of hone in on it. How was that process? Was that Ableton? Did you run vocals through it? Like, was it send off email type shit?
Yeah. So basically, I had lived in London for a little bit, like a year and a half. I moved out there to focus on a couple projects and just to get out of LA. This is like 2017 ish. Yeah, just to take a little break. So I had a lot of friends out there. So one of the artists I got introduced to, or his music, was Coltrane, and it was through this other producer, Fred Cox, who was working with him. And I was like, man, I really want to work with this guy. And we had like all these sessions booked, and they all got canceled because he got sick, and then I got sick.
Oh no!
Whatever. And then there was this one where we had this session, and he had to cancel, but it was like something totally legit. Like he got stuck in New York at something crazy, like in a flight or whatever. And I was like, fine. So I ended up making this beat, and I was like, a beat for him or whatever, and I made this beat, and I want to say it was like 20 minutes. It was literally so fast.
Just knocked it out.
And I'm like, damn, this is fire. Like I really like this beat, and I really think he'd be good for it. So I ended up just sending it to him. And I mean, from the way he tells it, is I sent it to him and I sent it to my manager, and my manager was just like, this is the craziest beat. He needs to do this. And he like hit Coltrane's manager. He's like, Ty sent Coltrane a beat, you gotta make sure he records on it. And I guess his manager like heeded that and like told Coltrane, he's like, bro, like I think you should like do this record. Like everybody thinks this beat is fire, they could go or whatever. And then he was just like cool, and he just wrote it like by himself, and and I like pulled up to the studio and helped him record it, and it happened really fast, and we like barely knew each other, and
That's fire.
But and then just went. It did really well for me.
That's what's up, man. That's so random, man. Isn't it funny that some of your big record, like some of your best music, is like the ones that just like shoot, feel like it just comes from out of nowhere, like so quick.
It's like fate.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, there's so many records like that. I will say though, the one thing that I like to tell people though is there are records that are a fight that are dope too. Okay, I just don't. I feel like I don't really subscribe to the if it's not there in 5 minutes, it ain't it.
Sure.
There are some. I got another record I did called You Changed, and that's like one of my like solo records. It's like kind of my magnum opus, and that took me a year and a half to make.
Right.
So it's like, you know what I mean? There's still value in chipping away stuff, but man, I think Pharrell says he calls it like checking out ideas from the universe, like when something just happens. Yeah, and you can't deny that. Like that's magic.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
I super agree. Let's talk about. I want to talk about LA a little bit.
Yeah,
for this because I know you're not from here, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I see this thing, and I'll probably speak a little personally too. From a lot of producers, we just like the idea of, all right, we're gonna go to LA. We're gonna be in all these sessions because everything is in LA and all of that. And of course, looking at your catalog, you have a bunch of records from BTS. Fucking, I seen Flow Rider's name, and like you have a lot to your name. But
even my boy Futuristic, which is wild. I ain't gonna lie, that threw me off. I was like, what? Is it with Futuristic? Like what?
Yeah,
this is my boy. Shout out Futuristic.
Yeah, and I know that's a tough thing. It sounds easy. It sounds like the fucking greatest thing on earth, but it's tough. I would love for you to talk about staying here, working here as a producer full time.
Yeah. So I mean, it's exactly. It's kind of. I feel like LA is a little bit of a necessary evil. You can create a career for yourself anywhere if you know where to put the time, effort, and apply the pressure. I've seen it. You know, I mean, you've got the Q Beats and the like Mario Luciano's. They live in like their hometowns, and they just have such a good connection with people working. They can do stuff online, but for most of us, like being in the room is so important. And like artists, especially out here, they want, hey, can you pull up tomorrow? Can you pull up tonight? Whatever.
Right.
And I think I didn't really fully appreciate it till I went to London, because London was creatively so enriching. Everyone is so good at music, and I learned so much creatively, but sustaining a career there was very difficult, because it's like people take their time on stuff. It's kind of clicky. People are like, oh yeah, I've been working on my debut EP for 4 years. I'm like, oh my God.
Sheesh. Bro, that, I ain't gonna lie. Don't lie. When you hear that, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, here we go again.
Here we go again. GTA.
Yeah. But then it's like, I moved back to LA, and I connected with this producer who was working on the Alina project. He was like, pull up to this Alina session. Right. We wrote a song. It was out all within a month. And I'm like, I can't leave LA, bro.
I love that, bro.
You know what I mean? And the lifestyle here is not really like my cup of tea. Like, I'm not a huge, like, you know, kind of partier type of person.
Facts,
which is like a pretty big culture here.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that, like, I'm not like where I'm at where I could just be anywhere. Like, I need to be able to like get in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think at a certain point you could like kind of fuck off, but at the moment I got to be in the mix.
I love that Alina story because it's so true. Like, the funny thing is I've been stepping into this artistry world as well, and I catch myself like just calling on a whim, like, yo, random guitarist, yo, can you be at the studio like 40 minutes?
Yeah.
I will pay for the Uber. Where are you at? Like, so I could understand, especially this being so dense in the music industry. As big as LA is, it's very, everyone knows everyone. That's a real thing. Right. I'd love to know the story, because you kind of told it on the stream a little bit. How you got in the studio with her before her was her.
Oh yeah.
And made that record.
So that was like pretty much all through my publisher, which, you know, I was signed to Zed on the Clarity, his imprint through UMPG, and UMPG, they would set up stuff for me too. So so they kind of would just throw me a bone like all the time for these new artists, and they they just was like, hey, it was just one of like 3 that they asked me in one email.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to work with these artists? And one of them was her. And, you know, a lot of times, like, my sister's younger than me. A lot of times I'll just send her stuff and I'm like, have you heard of any of these people? Like, do you rock with any? And she was like, work with that her girl. She's fire. Like, my sister was already like hip to like the SoundCloud shit.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. And that was the only one I picked.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was in a writing camp in Jamaica, which was incredible. Like from UNPG, they had us in like this crazy studio or whatever, and literally off the plane with my bags to the studio. That was like the only day she could work.
Wow.
And I just remember it being like cool, like, you know, it's just seeming like how serious. It just, there was a vibe that she's like, people like are like, she's gonna go, like people, everyone around her is like pretty serious about it, and it just seemed like there was like this like hype to the room. So I was like, okay, let me just like really lock in here. And yeah, like she told me, oh, this EP, I just finished an EP, but I'm kind of just making songs for the new, like the next project, whatever that's gonna be. And we make this song, it happens so fast, another one that just happened so fast. And her manager comes in and he's like, nah, this has got to go on the EP. I know you said I know you said it's done, but this one's got to go on there too. And I was just like, sweet. And then, man, it just went like crazy.
Yeah, that's
like,
one of my favorite songs. Like that was one of my favorite songs, like from her in general.
It caught me in a time, and that's why I always throw the hero word at you, man, because that project literally made me like say, all right, R&B is where I want
R&B
to
is
be.
So I was living in LA at the time when it first, because my homegirl, I was living in LA at the time. It was like, I was doing like a summer in LA, and I remember when she played it for me, she was like, you never heard of her? I was like, no. And I remember she was playing stuff and I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, you know what I mean? The vibe, even just that branding and the imagery behind it and everything, it always shocked me. So when I see Avenue, for instance, I'll never forget the music video. It's her, I think she's in New York, right? She's like in a Wrangler in New York. Just the vibe of it was like, yo, what the hell is this? And just,
the song, the build in it, like you don't hear crazy drums until the second half. All of that musicality combined with just what she's saying.
I want to shout her out though, because that was her move.
Word.
I had the beat coming in and she's like, wait for it. She's like, wait for the drums. And like,
Hey, let me show you something real quick. Engineers is the all-in-one solution for powering your audio engineering career. Host your mixing, mastering, and recording services for clients to easily book you. Seamlessly run ad campaigns to promote your business. And, best of all, you can accept payment for your work all under one roof to make tracking your earnings for taxes a breeze. Check out Engineers today. I'll leave a link in the description.
she's the one that had the idea, like chorus too,
right?
And like, dude, yeah, just especially what she said. Like the music video came out and I saw it, and I really felt like, damn, I feel like I'm a part of something cool.
Right.
Like it's one of those moments as a producer, you're just like, damn, this is like what it's all about. Like there's a cool thing happening. There's like a movement happening under this artist.
Right.
And like I contributed to it in a way, and it's just like, yeah, man, I was just so grateful.
Classic.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I use that. I might use that word a little lighter than I should, but classic.
No, for sure.
I do want to say, because I've been super tapped in with you, I know how much you love hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're a scratcher, like bro, I know how much you love it. And what I do admire is how open you are with just the change of the sound of hip hop from, you know, the Ninth Wonders and the like just that boom bap era to now. And I know you got the Jack Harlow, you got was it Dirk?
Oh yeah, they sampled something.
Yeah. So like how is that changed? Do you kind of indulge in creating trap and talk to me about that?
Yeah. So when I was really coming up and kind of creating my own identity in music, you know, when you're a kid, you just listen to what your parents listen to, and then you discover something for yourself. And that, of course, for me was hip hop. That was the first thing I loved. And at first, I was super like backpack, underground only. Yeah, I was like, that mainstream shit is whack. Like, because at the time it was like Snap was really happening, Crunk was happening.
Oh, so shit. Yeah, I remember that era. Yeah.
And I fell in love with hip hop because of the drums, and then all of a sudden there's snaps and like these like Triton beats. I just wasn't. I just wasn't like into it. So for a long time I was really closed off, and I was just like, and then like when the mainstream kind of took over and like the 90s sound, they went more underground, I followed it. So it was like the Jurassic 5s, the Atmospheres and you know, and Dread on My Tricks, whatever. And I think it was 2011 or something where Drake and Kendrick were starting to really have their moments. And I still remember, I think it was I'm On One by Drake. I think that's what I was like, mainstream shit's kind of cool.
Yeah, this shit's kind of cool.
I was like, yo, this shit's cool. And then ever since then, and then the more I've fallen in love with music and creating music, the walls are just gone. Like, it's just like, there's something to appreciate about everything. And like, to the point where I'm sure I annoy people because I got my homies that are like into hip hop stuff and I'll put on like an Ian song. They're like, bro, this corny motherfucker. Like, I like it.
I like it.
But yeah, so I just, now at the moment, I just, anything that's cool, anything that's happening, anything that's new and fresh is interesting to me, and I want to try making it. And I still appreciate the boom bap shit, and like I just love it all, man. The more you love music, the more music you love, I think. So,
got you. What kind of music are you like making right now? Which is like heavily leaning towards? Like, what are you making a lot of right now?
A lot of soul music. So like I've been doing a lot with the 88 Rising label.
Okay.
And some of that stuff, like, you know, is like kind of soul leaning. So it's been cool to lean in on that. And then would I make my own loops and samples and stuff for either to send to people or to make like the soulful R&B like mix is really inspiring to me. I don't know if you guys heard that song Mutt, the Leon Thomas record.
Oh,
yeah. No. I'm just gonna say.
I'm about to say we just had.
That feels like a North Star of like the stuff I like.
Okay, got you. Okay,
That's
got you.
fire.
Yeah,
That's like this boom bappy. Yeah,
exactly. To me, that's like a really cool direction and pocket that R&B is going. And then, a lot of that. But dude, also, I've been loving the singer-songwriter sessions. The acoustic guitar, Clairo-y, like...
And just going.
And like, you know, it's about the song. Even people from Nashville doing like country type stuff. I think like... that stuff's cool because that's like focused on the song. Yeah, I'm just all over the place, man.
I get it, but honestly, that's pretty cool because, you know, I'm attracted to singer-songwriter stuff too because I feel like it's a lot more open. Because I feel like a lot of music is not even get technical, like super compressed and smashy and bow. But sometimes I do enjoy that openness of like a song and stuff like that. So I do understand that.
And it's this freedom. I hear. Like, I hear this real freedom of just creative and expression. Man. We kind of box ourselves in, even though we want to be everything. But
as far as your soul, like the soul stuff that you're doing, right? Is there anything specifically that you're like leaning towards to give you like the feeling and stuff? Like, are certain effects or are there like certain things, like say for instance, just running it through things and stuff like that? Like, what is your like vibe for like kind of getting that essence of like the sonics?
Yeah, so I think, you know, you can break this stuff down to the idea and the sonics of it. That's at least that's how my brain works. So as far as the idea goes, I think when I was first doing my sound and like my first like loops, I was really gospel influenced. So it's like a lot more chords, like thicker chords, like pretty like crazy turnarounds, bum, 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 you know, things that are like pretty like complex musically. But when you listen to soul music and like a lot of this type of stuff, it seems like the idea of it is a little bit more simple. So like I just brought up the Mutt song. It's 2 chords and it's about the arrangement. It's like, okay, take these 2 chords and then what story is the bass telling? What story is the keys telling? And do they talk to each other? Like it's all about blah, and then 3 instruments going bump, 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 blah. And you know what I mean? It's like then, so I'm thinking about it arrangement wise in a soul sense, and in those ways. And then as far as sonics go, it's just about instruments, man. So like over time, I've gotten less and less in the box with the I still love doing in the box stuff, but when I do this, you know, I invested in a piano. I started learning like guitar in a real way. And like, you know, I'll even chop up horns and things from Splice or whatever, and it's getting those real instruments in the mix with the synths and stuff. And then as far as you got your idea, it's arranged, you got your stuff down, then you go in and you make it, you know, 3008 with the pitching and the resampling. I think resampling is huge.
Absolutely. Like the resample, like got you.
There's a few ways I'll do it. So
please.
Well, one of the biggest things you can do if you're in the box and you want a piano to like feel more like a sample, is once you write your part, you double the speed and throw it up an octave, and then you bounce that fast octave up to audio, and then you stretch that audio back down, and for Ableton users in the repitch mode, and then it goes back to the original octave and the original speed, but it's got all these like artifacts in it and like weird. You know, especially if you had like a tape thing on it, it just sounds more real. So you can resample MIDI stuff in that way, and then also just taking your whole idea and resampling it, bouncing the stems out, and opening a new project. That's a big thing I do. And pitching it, and then try all different types of pitch shifters. So there's the Eventide from UAD. It kind of breaks down after a semitone, but if you're just using it for a semitone, it pitches it in such a weird way, and you get these weird like stuttery artifacts. Elastic audio
in Pro Tools.
It's what is it called? Elastipitch or something.
Okay,
it's like a plugin. It messes with the format while you do the pitch, so that's a different flavor. And the guys, I could tell the guys at OVO love the sound shifter from Waves because
you know it.
There's one random like nerdy thing that I noticed with the sound shifter. If you put it on drums, every once in a while the snare will be super wide, and then you listen to like Ratchet Happy Birthday and the third snare is like super wide. I'm like,
that sound shifter. That's so funny. That's so funny.
That's one of my favorite like sample sounding
type songs.
You know what I mean?
I was gonna say like, you bring up a good thing because all pitchers are not made equal. Like for instance, the way my natural pitching goes in Pro Tools versus yours, Ableton versus yours, it all sounds different. Like in Pro Tools, I can tell when someone is like time stretches something in Pro Tools.
And I didn't know that until I tried to pitch. I told you, I think I sent you a beat and it wasn't in your key. You could have sing. I was like, just pitch the shit down.
You said pitch it down. And I was like, I knew though. I was like,
I can't do that.
I got you.
FL is so weirdly clean. Like it's just fucking you know, the greatest DAW ever, bro. I'm trying to tell you.
All right, all right. I'll let you get it off right now. But our time shifter in Pro Tools is very. So it's like. So like old, but it has like its thing to it. It's just like our Verify plugin. It's just like, so sometimes like I'll use that stuff. I'm like, that sounds weird as hell, but it'll work. Like when you talk about the stuttering, like thing that happens kind of like when you sample, like pitch things down. Like I noticed that when it's kind of trying to keep it in time, but it's not like, it's not doing it. But it has a sound to it. It goes off and it feels like, it gets like this human kind of feeling to it and stuff like that.
Exactly.
That was awesome.
Exactly. It's all about really messing with the different colors you have. Exactly what you said. Not all plugins are created equal. And if you try different plugins that are doing the same job, they're going to do it differently. And if you mix those together, you start to create a pretty dope like sonic landscape.
Right, for the most part.
I would be very remiss to not ask you about the Mick Jenkins record.
The Mick Jenkins record.
Please just talk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so that beat is kind of funny because I think so I just told you that I'm like this open-minded like cheese and guy. I like everything. No, I get tight sometimes. There was this one moment I remember where lo-fi was kind of really taking off, and the lo-fi producers were like, you know, making a lot of money on streaming, and there was these like rappers that were coming out like on top of it or whatever, and I was like, man, this shit been around, bro. You guys are late. Like this shit has been around. And I was like, this shit's easy to make. So the original beat is literally like, the project is called Wow, I Can Make Lo-Fi Beats Too.
Wow.
And so I literally just like went in there like mad as fuck, like all these people doing this sound that's just like old whatever, and I just like do these chords or whatever, and then I'm like, hey, this kind of fire. But yeah, so then it just went in the pack. And then I started getting the opportunity to do sessions with Mick through my publisher or whatever. I just pulled up with a pack of beats, and I played him that one, and he was immediately like, this is the one.
This is the one.
Yeah. Wow. And it was just like, it's one of them ones where it was looping for like 3 hours, and I was just like sitting there just like vibing. And I you know, I mean, who doesn't? If you like hip hop, you like Mick Jenkins. Like,
Facts.
You know? So I was geeked, obviously. So I was just like, let him do his thing or whatever. And just so grateful.
That's insane.
Man, thank you. I need to know that.
That's wild. Also, too, on that same tidbit, like obviously we've covered the wide expanse and range of just your skill set when it comes to production, and crediting Muso for this one. Seeing stuff like composing for Freddie Gibbs, like LJ brought up, the Jack Harlow, even seeing that you have credits with Tekka. What is it like getting in that mindset and getting in these rooms and just like kind of just helping tell these artists' stories?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think like there's the funnest part, the reason I love music so much, and the funnest part is the exploration of it. It's literally just like all the different perspectives and different places you can go. So when I'm in with an artist, they've got a perspective, they've got like something that they want to accomplish and a story they want to tell, and I'm just so intrigued in that, like, to begin with. So I think as a producer, the funnest part for me is like helping them get there, and like that's just, you know, the link between like the creative brain and the technical is always something that I've just been super into. And yeah, I think like just anytime I get in with an artist, you know, it's really about just getting to know them, playing records, playing stuff they like. And it's like, oh, you know, I've really been listening to a lot of this Tears for Fears thing. I'm immediately like, oh, sweet. Chorus guitar, Lindrum. Like, you know, it's just like, it's just so cool to just immerse yourself with all these worlds of music and all these palettes, and
absolutely,
you know what I mean. And it's exciting to me when an artist wants to explore down one of those paths. You know?
Like, oh, that's fire. I know that you ever when you do something, oh, that's fire. You're like, word.
Straight
so
up.
we're going here.
I know it is.
I know. You're like, yeah,
I know.
Nah, you from like, oh yeah, like we good.
I'm
and then you're like,
meant to
I've never opened this plugin, but shit, like I save preset, like
absolutely.
But yeah, you can take us out for the most part.
Do you have anything you're working on, bro? What's new for Lophiile?
Man, see, this is always the hardest question because I was like, yeah, I mean, I've been just doing tons of artist sessions. You know, I've got some stuff coming out. You know, I'm trying to like remember, just and I'm trying to think. Let's see, I've got some like
all good.
Yeah,
I'm working on mad stuff right now, bro.
That's the thing is what I'm trying to do is organize the stuff I can say.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't say.
But yeah, it's just a lot of stuff with artists coming out. I've got a couple Lophiile records coming out next year, like that are my own music.
Personal, okay.
I'm working on a new sample pack again, finally.
Nice.
And then just watch the space on the IG for the releases.
Okay,
Absolutely.
say less. And what is your IG, by the way? Just so you know.
At Lophiile, Lophiile.
Cool.
Nice.
Hey man, will we ever get the live streams back, man?
Dude, yeah. See,
So Levis can steal some more of your screen
You know?
record some more of your
some more
one shots.
one-shots.
dude, yeah, it's tough, man. I'm such you know what I mean? I love to do so many different things. So like when actual work picks up, the live streams suffer. But every Christmas, this shit like shuts down in this city, and so it's December. You should probably be seeing me a lot.
Say that. Okay, cool.
Tune in,
man. Other than IG, where can everybody else find you?
Yeah, I everything's all at Lophiile, Twitter, IG, YouTube, Discord. I'm a huge Discord user. Join the Lophiile Discord. Tons of producers in there.
Okay.
You can send me stuff to flip on stream.
Okay. I'll make sure that's fire. I'll make sure I put a link in the description for your Discord and stuff like that. I'll get that stuff. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey man, this
I'll take us out.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
One time, make some noise for
Honestly.
Lophiile, ladies and gentlemen.
That was hard.
Thank you so much for your time, man, and just
Absolutely,
obviously
man,
just sharing
for
your journey and just literally giving us, you know, like kind of your game as far as the sauces, what you have and stuff like that.
I'm so grateful. Thank you guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Does that make the plugin of the week? What was it?
M Vibrato. It's
in
free.
Vibrato.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
You know, it's
Yep.
always
I'm
the
about to say-
free plugin. I keep catching people with.
I'm about
Like,
to say the moment when he first mentioned it, I looked it up. I said, free? Let me ask him about this afterwards.
hey, so it's the 0.2 version, right? Like,
I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, what the heck?
What
so
are we doing?
okay,
Is it
Melda.
Production?
Yeah, Melda.
Melda. He said Melda.
Melda.
Don't worry, I'm gonna watch this episode back.
right?
Yeah.
We gonna find it.
But with that being said, our members been saw this video and they already went and got Melda and it sold out and you're screwed. So
Facts.
please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Remember, one lucky person in the comment section is going to get that VIP Gold Edition Rosetta EQ or compressor. Also, you can become a member of the channel where you get exclusive videos, you get episodes like this before anyone else, you get money in the store, these cool Zoom sessions, and so much more. This has been the My Audio Nerds Podcast. Until next time, y'all.
And remember, man, if you're using Reason, you can stop now.